Wow, you guys really seem to like me talking about the Helluverse. And since you liked that video so much on Hazbinhotel, I thought it would only be right to cover Helluvaboss Season 1. If you don't know what Helluvaboss is, it is the spin-off series that exists within the same world as Hazbinhotel. And if you like hearing me ramble on about indie cartoons like Helluvaboss or Hazbinhotel, then you should definitely like the video and subscribe to the channel. When it comes to being a spin-off that's supposed to offer a lot of world building to the general Hazbin universe, I think Helluvaboss exceeds with flying colors in my own personal opinion. So let's start with arguably the show's greatest strength, the characters. In Helluvaboss, we follow 3 imps named Moxie, Millie, and Blitz. They are assassins for hire that go into the living world to do their job. They're only able to do this though because Blitz happens to have a relationship with one of the Ars Goetia, Prince Stolas, who allows him to use his magical grimoire to go into the living world in the first place. While the show is very character driven and obviously wants to set things up for the future, Season 1 never loses its episodic nature. The focus is always on what the characters are doing in that specific episode, while also giving us little bits of world building and maybe a little bit more behind these characters beyond the surface level. And personally, I really love this approach because it allows us to get close to these characters and get a feel for their world without dropping way too much on us to the point where it feels overwhelming. Another thing I really like about this show is the animation. While it's obviously not the same level of quality as something like Hazbinhotel, I do really think it looks good in its own right. I also like how the show occasionally decides to change up its art style and animate these characters in a new light. I also think the voice acting is incredibly good. Brandon Rogers voices our main protagonist, Blitz, and I actually think he does a very good job. He captures the chaotic energy that a character like Blitz needs, in my own opinion. And my favorite character in the whole show, Moxie, is actually voiced by Richard Horvitz, who you may know as Invader Zim. And it's not just them who do a really good job. Everybody who voices somebody in the show is doing their absolute best, and it really shows, especially during the show's more emotional moments. Next, let's talk about the bonds between some of these characters. Specifically, I want to focus on Blitz and Stolas and Millie and Moxie. I think the relationship between Blitz and Stolas is tragic, and I really love it. Their dynamic offers a lot of good storytelling, and shows that there is a lot of mental health issues between these two characters. Blitz may come off as the goofy, crazy main character, but he's definitely afraid of commitment, and all he sees his relationship with Stolas as is completely transactional, and Stolas is a hopeless romantic that desperately wants Blitz. And watching this unfold in Season 1, yeah, it's sad, but it's one of the best parts of the story in my opinion. Meanwhile, Moxie and Millie are the ultimate power couple. Their relationship is one of the sweetest, most wholesome things you will see in this entire show, and I absolutely love it. They both bring out the best in each other, and they are just the silliest fucking goobers ever. This is peak fiction right here. Which reminds me, I should probably get to talking about the actual humor of this show. I think Helluvaboss is actually really funny, and the problems that I had with Hazbin's humor sometimes don't really apply here. Not every joke is gonna land for everybody, but I still think Season 1 of Helluvaboss especially is pretty darn funny most of the time. Lastly, I think it's time to talk about the big meat and potatoes of this show, the world building. I like how in Season 1 of Helluvaboss we get to see more of the Pride Ring, a little bit of the human world, but we also get the introduction of the Wrath Ring and the Lust Ring. We also get an idea of what the political landscape of Hell is like in this show, seeing that imps are supposed to be at the bottom, and the Ars Goetia and sinners and the 7 deadly sins are mostly at the top of the food chain. And all of the elements that we get introduced to really go a long way with fleshing out this universe. And it really does make the world feel more lived in, and it feels like we have barely scratched the surface of what we can actually see within the Helluverse. Overall, Season 1 of Helluvaboss is still really good, and it set the groundwork for what we could see in the Helluverse in the future, and it does a very good job of introducing us to this world and these characters. I would probably give Season 1 an 8 out of 10. But that's all I really have to say about Helluvaboss, and I'll see you in whatever my next project is. Thanks for watching.